Hello there, a very good evening. Welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlene Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I'm Mariam Ganavijaya. We start off with a look at the stories that made headlines for tonight.
U.S. Maritime Patrol aircraft King Air transferred to the Sri Lanka Air Force. Navy Admiral and Commander of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, Admiral Steve Kohler, meets President. Foreign diplomats hold discussions with the President and convey best wishes from state leaders. Economy is at a good stage. 2024 economic growth to surpass 4%, a forecast from the World Bank. Justice Murdu Fernando appointed as acting Chief Justice. Ajit Nivad Cabral and 3 others indicted over Greek bond scam. Overseas travel ban imposed on Johnston Fernando again. Vimal and Patali abandon candidacy at the upcoming general election. Indian tycoon Ratan Tata passes away.
On to those stories in detail now. U.S. Navy Admiral and Commander of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, Steve Kohler, officially handed over a Beechcraft King Air 360 ER aircraft to the Sri Lanka Air Force.
At a ceremony held today at the Sri Lanka Air Force Base in Katunayaka, U.S. Navy Admiral and Commander of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, Steve Kohler, officially handed over a Beechcraft King Air 360 ER aircraft gifted by the United States to the Sri Lanka Air Force. Equipped with cutting-edge surveillance technology, the King Air will strengthen Sri Lanka's ability to patrol its waters, counter maritime threats and secure vital trade routes in the Indian Ocean.
This aircraft empowers Sri Lanka to continue to defend her sovereignty and maintain a free and open Indo-Pacific. I am here to tell you that Sri Lanka is not alone in that effort. Today's aircraft transfer occurs in the context of historic levels of U.S. Pacific Fleet activity in the Indian Ocean with our allies and partners.
The Beechcraft King Air aircraft we received today represent a quantum leap in our nation's ability to safeguard our sovereignty, protect our maritime interests, and contribute to regional stability. This versatile platform, valued at millions of US dollars and provided at no cost to the Sri Lanka Air Force, will significantly enhance our maritime patrol capabilities, search and rescue operations, and our capacity to respond swiftly to humanitarian crises.
President Dissanayaka has rightfully articulated that Sri Lanka's vital role in the region's security architecture is so important. Our cooperative programs reflect the United States' commitment to supporting this vision. Security, especially in the maritime domain, is a collective responsibility. We are all interconnected by our seas, and these challenges are ones that must be addressed together. Our countries, the region, and the world face increasingly complex challenges, but together we are building a stronger foundation for security and stability in the Indo-Pacific. And our partnership will continue to be a force for peace and progress in the region for years to come.
The Beech King Air 360 ER granted us the United Department of Defense funded Building Partner Capacity Program, which is poised to become the link pinch in elevating our MDA for maritime security in our exclusive economic zone and flight information region. It is a pleasure to note that the United States has gone above and beyond by continuously sharing their operational expertise and technical acumen with my team, bringing synergy between our two nations and the armed forces, fostering cooperation for regional security.
Commander of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, Admiral Steve Kohler, along with U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung, met with President Anurakumara Dissanayaka today to discuss how the U.S.-Sri Lanka security partnership can strengthen Sri Lanka's sovereignty while ensuring regional stability in the Indo-Pacific. During the meeting, Admiral Steve Kohler pledged U.S. support to Sri Lanka in combating transnational threats and enhancing regional security. Admiral Steve Kohler, a 4-star U.S. Navy Admiral and Commander of U.S. Pacific Fleet, arrived in Sri Lanka. His visit marks the highest-level U.S. military visit to the country since 2021. U.S. four-star Navy Admiral Steve Kohler also met with U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung following his arrival. Admiral Kohler will engage with senior Sri Lankan officials to discuss rising security challenges in the Indian Ocean region, strengthen collaboration on maritime domain awareness and disaster response, reaffirm U.S. commitment to supporting Sri Lanka in combating transnational threats, and to discuss the growing cooperation between U.S. and Sri Lankan forces. The U.S. Pacific Fleet remains the world's largest naval command, extending from the west coast of the United States into the Indian Ocean, encompassing 3 oceans, 6 continents, and more than half of the Earth's surface. The Pacific Fleet continues to be a credibly led, combat-ready and surge-ready fleet prepared in peace, crisis, or war. The U.S. Pacific Fleet is a formidable component of the United States Navy, responsible for naval operations in the Pacific Ocean. It comprises approximately 200 ships, 1,500 aircraft, and 150,000 military and civilian personnel.
President Kumara Dissanayake participated in high-level discussions today with the diplomats from several countries. The discussions aim to strengthen bilateral relations and enhance global partnerships, reflecting the current government's strategic commitment to fostering international cooperation.
Ambassador of Saudi Arabia to Sri Lanka, Khalid Hamoud Al-Dassam Al-Qahtani, met with President Kumara Dissanayake at the President's office today. The discussion covered various topics including the current regional situation and Sri Lanka's support to Saudi Arabia. The leaders also focused on strengthening economic ties, with particular attention to enhancing Sri Lanka's tea exports to Saudi Arabia. The ambassador emphasized the importance of creating a favorable environment for further Saudi investments in Sri Lanka, encouraging the government to formulate a national policy to attract investors. Turkish Ambassador Semih Lutfu Turgut met with President Kumara Dissanayake and conveyed Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's greetings to his Sri Lankan counterpart. In his congratulatory message, President Erdogan expressed hope that President Disanayake's initiatives would promote peace and prosperity for all Sri Lankans while enhancing national unity. During their discussions, the ambassador and President Dissanayake explored opportunities to deepen cooperation in tourism, employment and trade. The ambassador highlighted the increasing demand for migrant labor in Turkey, assuring that new job opportunities for Sri Lankans would be created across various sectors in the near future. Ambassador of the State of Palestine to Sri Lanka, Hisham Abu Taha, also met with President Kumara Dissanayake. The Palestinian ambassador expressed deep appreciation for Sri Lanka's long-standing support for Palestine and its position on key international issues. Ambassador Abu Taha also raised the issue of visa obstacles faced by Palestinians, urging the president to take steps to ease these restrictions in order to strengthen people-to-people ties between the two nations. Pakistan's High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Major General Fahim ul Aziz, met with President Kumara Dissanayake today. High Commissioner Aziz extended his congratulations to President Dissanayake on his recent election to victory and conveyed Pakistan's commitment to strengthening its partnership with Sri Lanka. The discussions between President Dissanayake and High Commissioner Aziz focused on enhancing the long-standing political and security ties between the two countries. High Commissioner of Bangladesh to Sri Lanka, Andalib Elias, also met with President Dissanayake today. Their discussions focused on investment opportunities for Sri Lanka in Bangladesh and the role of the Sri Lankan workforce employed there. The duo reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening the existing free trade agreement between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh.
The World Bank today said that Sri Lanka's economy has stabilized with growth expected to reach 4.4% in 2024, surpassing earlier forecasts. This positive outlook follows 4 consecutive quarters of growth driven by the industrial and tourism sectors and supported by critical structural and policy reforms.
The World Bank's biannual Sri Lanka development update, titled Opening Up to the Future, cautions that the recovery remains fragile and hinges on maintaining macroeconomic stability, successfully restructuring debt and continuing structural reforms to increase medium-term growth and reduce poverty.
There is a good news. The good news is that after very painful economic crisis, the stabilization has happened and has happened at the pace and faster than most experts expected. In a way, South Asia seemingly surprising everyone with faster growth or recovery. So the stabilization of Sri Lanka in that sense also was consistent with the surprise. So this is the good news. Not so good news is that the country is not yet out of the woods. The pain that is experienced by Sri Lankans, and I mean you know this better than anyone else, is huge. The country is still having a poverty rate of about 25%. Basically every fourth Sri Lankan is poor. There are millions of Sri Lankans who are a shock away from poverty as well. And poverty is just one example, right? The other is the human development, health, education, social protection. They all have got hit by the crisis. And this is the reality that we're facing. And then again, we spoke about workforce participation, women participation. And this is a big challenge as well for Sri Lanka. We have seen also out migration, brain drain, and female participation as well has been falling in Sri Lanka. So there is relatively narrow pathway forward, and unfortunately there is no any magic, no silver bullet out there. It is going to be a hard work and consistent approach to policies.
Reforms can Sri Lanka implement to strengthen its economy without falling into another crisis in the future?
Sri Lanka really needs to try and transform that and get onto a high level of growth in a more inclusive and sustainable way. I'll keep emphasizing that. And this is to do with some of the reforms that have started. SOEs, I think this was a big agenda we'd been supporting. It started, the work started. It's not an easy area, but I think it's a place that, given the fiscal risks, given the productivity attributes, given the service delivery, it's certainly, and I think everyone agrees that work needs to be done to improve the governance and operation of SOEs. It's really about policy consistency and continuing these structural reforms which are critical for strong and, as Givog said, inclusive and sustainable growth. So yeah, it's important that Sri Lanka maintains this policy consistency, particularly to protect these hard-won gains. And I'll firstly emphasize the monetary, financial, and fiscal policies. There have been significant improvement in this consistency over the last couple of years. These policies need to be complemented by measures to address the poverty and household incomes. We flagged two there. Firstly, around the adequacy and the targeting of cash transfers and the fertilizer subsidies. There is a new system, but certainly that can be improved, the targeting around that. And then secondly, the more progressive revenue mobilization measures need to be considered. Sri Lanka also needs to scale up these structural reforms that have started to really set the country on a better path. So this would really help resolve some of these long-standing weaknesses, enhance competitiveness, and address the root causes of the crisis. It needs to target more export-orientated FDI. So this chart just gives a sense of where is Sri Lanka relative to some of the aspirational peers, Vietnam, Malaysia, and the low middle income average in terms of GDP, FDI as a share of GDP. You can see for Sri Lanka, it's hovered on average around 1.1% of GDP. And this is despite the fact that there are substantial tax exemptions granted. So clearly, these exemptions are not helping drive FDI to higher levels. So what can be done? I mean, the focus really should be on this enabling environment for investments, as well as better governance. So 4 things to keep in mind: operationalizing this Economic Commission chapter of the new Economic Transformation Act.
Justice Murdu Fernando was sworn in as the acting Chief Justice today.
The swearing-in ceremony took place at the President's office this morning. An alumnus of Princess of Wales College in Moratuwa, Acting Chief Justice Murdu Nirupabidushini Fernando graduated in law from the University of Colombo and has been with the Attorney General's Department since 1985.
Former Central Bank Governor Ajit Nivad Cabral and 3 others were formally indicted today over the alleged purchase of Greek securities. The Colombo High Court ordered the release of each defendant on a bail of 10 million rupees each.
Former Central Bank Governor Ajit Nivad Cabral and 3 others were formally indicted today in the presence of Colombo High Court Judge RSS Sapuvida. The charges relate to the alleged purchase of Greek securities in 2012, which resulted in a loss exceeding 1.84 billion rupees to the Sri Lankan government during Greece's severe economic crisis. The defendants in this case include former Central Bank Governor Ajit Nivad Cabral, former Deputy Governor Dharmasena Dheerasinghe, Don Vasantha Ananda Silva, Chandrasiri Jayasinghe, Pandita Sirivardhana and M.A. Karuna Ratna. During the court proceedings, defense attorneys argued that the defendants had fully cooperated from the outset and therefore there was no need to place them under remand custody. Taking these submissions into consideration, the judge ordered the release of the defendants on a bail of 10 million rupees each. Additionally, the judge imposed a travel ban on the defendants and ordered them to surrender their passports to court. Defense attorneys also highlighted that the Supreme Court had issued an order regarding the appointment of the Director General of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption who signed the indictments. The defense indicated their intention to file preliminary objections against the indictments at the next hearing. Consequently, the judge scheduled the next court date for the 6th of December to address these objections and compliance with the bail conditions. Meanwhile, an overseas travel ban was imposed on former Minister Johnston Fernando by Fort Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali. The CID reported facts to court indicating that an investigation is ongoing where an unregistered BMW with fraudulent number plates had been used. And considering the submissions made by the CID, the Fort Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali had issued the travel ban yesterday. In their report to court, the CID had pointed out that investigations were launched based on information received that a suspicious BMW car was parked at the car park of a leading hotel in Colombo. The report further adds that this German-manufactured BMW had been brought to Sri Lanka on the pretense that it was to be sent to England and had later been used with fraudulent number plates.
What happened to Sri Lanka?
Do you remember how we faced the dollar crisis?
Let's take a look at the past, present and the future outlook for Sri Lanka.
What happened to Sri Lanka?
The forex crisis or the dollar crisis in the country was one of the main reasons for the fuel queues, gas queues and prolonged power outages. Our country earned dollars through foreign remittances, goods exported and services provided overseas. In January 2022, the government of Sri Lanka saw it fit to use $500 million at the bottom of the barrel in Sri Lanka's coffers to settle an installment due on sovereign bonds. Many leading economists pointed out that the payment of this installment of $500 million should be postponed, and that if that is not done, fuel and medicine shortages are imminent. But despite these warnings, the $500 million installment was paid. And with that, Sri Lanka lost its final few dollars. The Supreme Court judgment on the economic crisis, pronounced on the 14th of November last year, had analysed in detail the games played by those in power with Sri Lanka's foreign reserves that inevitably resulted in the economic crisis. Strengthening the rupee and increasing dollar reserves in the country contributes positively to the country's economy. What happens usually is the value of the dollar is decided on market forces based on supply and demand, while the central bank would only intervene if there is a grave threat to the economy. For example, if the value of the rupee is depreciating rapidly and drastically, the central bank would release dollars from the reserves into the market and strike a balance. The manner in which the value of the rupee is to be protected is spelt out in Sri Lanka's monetary law. When the country faced the economic crisis, the Monetary Board was empowered to unilaterally decide and forward recommendations to the Ministry of Finance on how the value of the rupee can be protected. When the recommendations are forwarded, the minister has to publish by way of gazette the manner in which the value of the rupee is decided. However, during the period between 2019 and 2021, the Minister of Finance had not acted in accordance to the monetary law of the country. This is not our opinion, but the opinion of the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. These arbitrary decisions were made at a time when dollars flowing into the country had depreciated in an unprecedented manner due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The value of the rupee depreciated drastically and the country's debt burden also increased. How did that happen? When the value of the rupee depreciates, the amount of rupees paid to settle the loans obtained in dollars also increase. According to the Supreme Court, the depreciation of the rupee was a result of actions taken based on misguided interpretations. The judgment of the Supreme Court also highlighted how the tactics employed to protect the rupee that was on a nosedive had depleted the country's foreign reserves. On two occasions during the period between the 21st of April 2021 and the 7th of March 2022, the central bank had sold $1,773.8 million and purchased $746 million from the local market. Do you remember how the value of the dollar was pegged to 200 rupees for some time? In the end, 100 million from the $500 million given by the Chinese Development Bank had also been used to stabilize the rupee. When Sri Lanka's foreign reserves depleted, they could not continue to artificially hold on to the value of the rupee. Those in power couldn't even hold on to the government anymore. On the 7th of March 2022, Sri Lanka had to remove the artificial control on the dollar. The result was that the value of the dollar against the rupee, that was at 202 rupees and 99 cents, depreciated to 370 rupees. The Sri Lankan economy was hit hard. A country's economy cannot be maintained by officials and leaders who take inept decisions. Both economic principles and practicality must be considered. In the end, decisions of those in power resulted in Sri Lanka becoming bankrupt. These matters must be investigated. Those who benefited from Sri Lanka's bankruptcy must be investigated. Steps must be taken to ensure that something like this never happens again. Is this not what the people are demanding for?
News First with the people.
Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka decides.
Sri Lanka decides.
The National People's Power today submitted nominations for several districts.
In the Kandy district, the nominations were submitted under the leadership of Group Leader K.D. Lalkantha. A diverse group, including professionals, is part of the Kandy list for the National People's Power.
We don't feel the need for an extensive election campaign at this time. We successfully conducted an election campaign previously. Due to our victory and the constructive changes made in the country since then, even those who didn't vote for us then, as well as supporters of other parties, are now observing us and are willing to offer their support. Therefore, we need to extend an invitation to them. We are now inviting everyone who hasn't engaged with us yet to join in this journey forward. The truth is, we have no real competition in this. Victory is assured. There's no doubt that we will be able to establish a robust parliament. I can confidently say that this is the most diverse team presented from the Kandy district. Some might say that we are not introducing familiar faces. However, everyone here has performed their roles diligently, and we invite everyone to join this team to ensure the victory of Malimawa. No, it's those who are elected who enter parliament. It's those preferred by the people who will be chosen. That's the established system. The election law reflects that. Nothing deviates from that. Those who receive preferences will be elected in accordance with the orders of the preferences to fulfill the required number of MPs. That's the way it works.
The National People's Power today submitted nominations for the Kurunegala district under the leadership of Group Leader Namal Karunaratne. We have a strong conviction, a profound belief that the significant victory we achieved in the presidential election will undoubtedly be surpassed by an even bigger victory in the general election. This is true because all the strategies we deployed against our opponents have now completely dissipated. Today, what do they say? We are committed to supporting the NPP government, so we will not hinder it. We are asking for something in return as well. Some are seeking forgiveness. This is the current situation. Vimal Veeravansa's National Freedom Front, part of the Sarvajana Balaya, said that it would not contest the general election. However, the alliance submitted nominations for the Colombo district today. Udaya Gamampila is the Colombo district group leader.
As a group that loves our country, we are becoming the main opposition. A group that truly cares for the nation should indeed serve as the main opposition. Therefore, we are contesting this election with a sense of responsibility, aiming to become the main opposition in this country.
Arunalu Janatha Peramuna also submitted nominations for the Colombo district today.
The people who said no to the 225 are coming together to remove all 225 and replace them with good, honest representatives. We are confident that a group of professionals free from corruption and fraud will be sent to Parliament in the future.
The second generation and several independent groups were also present today to submit nominations for the Colombo district. The leader of the National Freedom Front, Vimal Veeravansa, has announced that his party will not contest the upcoming parliamentary elections. In a statement, Veeravansa emphasized the party's commitment to protecting the mandate given to the president by the people, honoring the legacy of the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna. Veeravansa highlighted that the National Freedom Front believes its role outside parliament is more significant and impactful than participating within it. He stressed that the party's decision is a collective one aimed at ensuring a stronger and more influential presence in the political landscape. The statement noted, quote, "Currently, the citizens of the country have elected the president through a free and peaceful election. However, it became evident from the warnings issued by certain nations to their citizens travelling to Sri Lanka prior to the presidential election that foreign powers did not anticipate such a scenario. It is no longer a secret that their expectation was to amplify the uncertainties arising from the election results and to engineer a situation akin to what transpired in Bangladesh, thus determining Sri Lanka's fate. However, we are genuinely pleased that the warnings provided, grounded in factual information, were comprehensively understood and acted upon by the populace, state officials and political entities, allowing us to avert such a situation. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to the President and the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna for their coordinated efforts to prevent such an outcome." Unquote. Vimal Veeravansa's announcement further states that as a political movement rooted in anti-imperialism, which honors the legacy of the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna, the President is obligated to uphold the mandate that brought him to power and to advocate for the aspirations of the people who established that mandate. The Lanka Tamil Arasakatchi handed over their nominations in the district of Jaffna today in the presence of former MPs S. Sridharan.
Today, S. Sridharan, the main candidate, along with 8 others, submitted their nominations. Through this election, it has been possible to provide an opportunity for the energetic and the strong to come forward.
The National People's Power, Frontline Socialist Party and the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna submitted their nominations in Jaffna today. The deadline for submitting nomination papers concludes tomorrow at noon, along with the deadline for independent groups to place their bonds.
The period of objections has been scheduled for tomorrow from 12 noon to 1:30 p.m. The decisions regarding accepting and rejecting nominations will be given after this period. The acceptance of nominations is taking place in all 22 electoral districts situated all island. All security measures have been taken by the police department in this regard. Parades and gatherings will be prohibited starting 1:30 p.m. following the announcement of the nomination results. The police have taken the necessary measures regarding this.
News First with the people.
Meanwhile, leader of the United Republic Front, Patali Champika Ranavika, said that the SJB has violated their agreement and that his party will not field candidates for the 2024 general election. Meanwhile, the Samagi Jana Sandhane, led by the Samagi Jana Balavegia, officially submitted their nominations for the Colombo district under the leadership of Sajith Premadasa. We will bring you the details of these stories in a while, but before that, let's take a look at more local news. The Rotary Club of Colombo Metropolitan is gearing up for the 8th Annual Dialogue Enterprise Rotary Part 3 Charity Golf Classic 2024.
The 8th Annual Dialogue Enterprise Rotary Part 3 Charity Golf Classic 2024 is set for the 26th of October at the Royal Colombo Golf Club. The event is known for transforming the 18-hole RCGC course into a par 54 layout. Challenges golfers with a distinct twist, where every hole is played as a par 3. But beyond the excitement of the game, the real focus is on supporting the Rotary Club's Little Hearts project. Funds raised will go towards improving pediatric care at Lady Ridgeway Hospital, helping children with congenital heart conditions.
This is the Rotary Club's 36th year, and we are proud to say that we have served our community and our country for 36 years. In the past, we have been involved in many projects. The golf tournament is our flagship project for fundraising. This year also, like in the past, we hope to raise as much as possible so that we can help many more projects, many more people.
We hope to have 180 players on Saturday the 26th. It's a different tournament, it's a different format, and we'll hopefully raise a lot of money for charity. This is not only about sport, it is not only about fun, this is about serious work. This year we are going to donate a lot of our proceeds from this tournament to a project we call Rotary for Little Hearts, which is a brand new center to look after children with heart disease.
The event has garnered immense support for sponsors committed to the cause.
Sri Lanka's political arena continues to heat up in the run-up to the general election. The talk of the town these days is about the nomination papers. Now, as we brought to you the news before, leader of the United Republic Front, Patali Champika Ranavika, said that the Samagi Jana Balavegia has violated the agreement that was entered into with his party. And as a result of that, Patali Champika Ranavika says that his party will not field any candidates for the 2024 general election. The Samagi Jana Sandhane, which is the Samagi Jana Balavegia-led alliance, officially submitted nominations for the Colombo district under the leadership of Sajith Premadasa.
Candidates of the Samagi Jana Balavegia submitted their nominations today at the party office in Boralaskamua. Party leaders intervened today to finalize the district nomination lists. However, several disagreements had arisen over the nominations in certain districts.
යාපන ඩිස්ට්‍රික්ට් එක ඡන්දය ඉල්ලන පළවෙනි නේම් විදියට මම අසං කරා. දැන් එතන තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න හිටපු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා චන්ද්‍රකුමාර් මුරුකේස ඉල්ලනවා කියලා ඒ තනතුරු දෙන්න කියලා ඉල්ලීම කරනවා. ඒ සාපෝ පක්ෂ මාලකඳුමා ආපෝ එන්න කියලා තියෙනවා. ඒ උඩට ගිහිල්ලා පස්සේ තමයි මොනවාද තියෙන්නේ කියලා දැනගන්න පුළුවන්.
Party leader Sajid Premadasa arrived shortly after Uma Chandra Prakash entered the party office.
We'll be moving on to some international news. Ratan Tata, a former chairman of Indian conglomerate Tata Sons, died at a Mumbai hospital last night, and he was 86 at the time of his demise. Now, Ratan Tata was admitted this week to the Bridge County Hospital in South Mumbai, the city where he lived. Soon after he was hospitalized, Tata issued a statement on Monday saying that there was no cause for concern regarding his health and that he was undergoing checkups for age-related medical conditions. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi described Tata as a visionary leader and a compassionate and extraordinary human being. During his tenure as a chairman of the Tata Group, the conglomerate made several high-profile acquisitions, including the takeover of Anglo-Dutch steelmaker Corus, UK-based car brands Jaguar and Land Rover, and Tetley, the world's second largest tea company. Tata, whose body is lying at a cultural center in Mumbai to allow people to pay their respects, is to receive a state funeral later on Thursday. Well, as Sharlan and I mentioned earlier, Partly Champika Ranavaka has said that his party, the United Republic Front, will not be fielding candidates for the 2024 general election after the violation of the agreement between the party and the SJB. Let's now take a look at the details of the story.
The party that supported Ranil Wickremesinghe during the presidential election, the New Democratic Front, submitted its nominations at the office in Flower Road today. Discussions regarding the preparation of candidate lists took place. However, issues arose due to ongoing issues with the Kalutara district list. Vimal Veeravansa's National Freedom Front, part of the Sarvajana Balaya, said that it would not contest the general election. However, the alliance submitted nominations for the Colombo district today. Udaya Gamampila is the Colombo district group leader.
As a group that loves our country, we are becoming the main opposition. A group that truly cares for the nation should indeed serve as the main opposition. Therefore, we are contesting this election with a sense of responsibility, aiming to become the main opposition in this country.
Arunalu Janatha Peramuna also submitted nominations for the Colombo district today.
The
people who said no to the 225 are coming together to remove all 225 and replace them with good, honest representatives. We are confident that a group of professionals free from corruption and fraud will be sent to Parliament in the future.
The second generation and several independent groups were also present today to submit nominations for the Colombo district.
Newsfirst Sonali Vanigabaduge won the prestigious South Asia Lalil Media Awards for Gender Sensitivity 2024. Newsfirst Sonali Vanigabaduge won this prestigious award representing Sri Lanka at a star-studded award ceremony at the Tata Theatre, NCPA, Mumbai on the 9th of October 2024. Now, the awards organized by Population First, a Mumbai-based social impact organization that has been working for over 2 decades to promote sensitivity in media. Now, apart from Sri Lanka, the award winners cover Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and the Maldives. Sonali was recognized for her contribution towards creating a more inclusive and equitable society through her work across the People's Platform. Freelance journalist Anya Vipulasena from Sri Lanka was also among the winners in recognition of her web-based reportage focusing on stories of women from the periphery. Now moving on to more local news, leader of the United Republic Front Party Champika Ranavika has said that they will not be fielding any candidates at this general election.
The 21 candidates contesting from Samagijana Samdana for the Colombo district submitted their nominations at the Colombo district secretariat today under the leadership of new party leader Sajit Premadasa. Apart from former MPs Dr. Harsha De Silva, S.M. Marikar, Hirunika Premachandra, Iran Vikramaratna, Mano Ganesan, Mujibur Rahman, this nomination list includes Apsari Tilakaratna, Dr. Chamal Sanjeeva, Gayan Dimel, Anuradha Vimalaratna, and Y. Ram. Gamini Tilakasari, who joined the SLFP, and Jagat Kumara from Sri Lanka Podujana Perumana have also been included in the Samagijana Sandhana nomination list of the Colombo district.
රට ගොඩනැගෙන රට සංවර්ධනය වෙන ඒ ජනදුක නිවාලන යුගයක් කරා නායකත්වය ලබා දෙන්නට අපි කටයුතු කරනවා වර්තමාන රජයත් එක්ක ඔබතුමා මොන විදිහට කටයුතු කරන්න සූදානම්ද ජනාධිපතිවත් සමග රටේ අවශ්‍ය
I aim to collaborate with the President to address the country's needs effectively. We have agreed to implement that debt repayment process by 2028, which presents a significant challenge in a contracting economy. It is essential to recognize that these challenges are not solely the government's responsibility. They require collective action from all of us.
පසුගිය මහමැතිවරණයේදී
සන්ධානයෙන් දිස්ත්‍රික් ගණනාවකට තරඟ කිරීමේ අපේක්ෂාව
We aim to contest for multiple districts under the Samagijana Sandhana, based on a memorandum of understanding established between the Samagijana Balawega and our United Republic Front on the 14th of August. We expected to present candidates from 11 districts. However, upon reviewing the nomination process in recent days, we found significant violations of the MOU that are unacceptable. Consequently, we have decided to withdraw from this election campaign. We want to clarify that we will not be hostile towards the Samagijana Balawega, and we do not intend to collaborate with other parties for the elections.
In the run-up to the 2024 general election, alliances are crumbling and certain alliances are also being formed. The Lanka Samsamaja party also took steps to form an alliance. The Lanka Samasamaja party, led by Professor Tissa Vitarana, signed an agreement with the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna to contest the general election. The SLPP signed the nominations at the Battaramulla headquarters today. SLPP leader Mahinda Rajapaksa visited the headquarters today. The Italian Navy's PPA Monteculio, a multi-purpose combat ship, arrived in Colombo. PPA Monteculio of the Italian Navy arrived at the port of Colombo on a formal visit this morning. The visiting ship was welcomed by the Sri Lanka Navy in compliance with naval traditions. The ship is a 143-meter-long multi-purpose combat ship manned by a crew of 152 members. During the ship's stay in Colombo, its crew members will visit some of Sri Lanka's tourist attractions. Meanwhile, a briefing on the operational functions of the ships will be conducted on board the ship for Sri Lankan Navy personnel. On her departure on the 13th of October, it is set to engage in a passage exercise with the Sri Lanka Navy ship off the coast of Colombo. In more local news, the Sri Lanka Army began its journey 75 years ago, rising as a steadfast guardian of our motherland. With unwavering pride, It defends our sovereignty and territorial integrity, courageously confronting threats to the safety and the lives of our people.
Since its inception in 1949, the Sri Lanka Army has undertaken bold and distinguished missions over the past 74 years, garnering international recognition. By overcoming numerous challenges, the Army has played a crucial role in combating terrorism and fostering a peaceful environment for our people. Its unwavering commitment stands as a testament to the resilience and strength of our nation. The Guardian of the Nation proudly showcased its pride today in the ceremony in Panagoda, chaired by Army Commander Lieutenant General Vikum Liyanage. The parade featured 75 officers and 626 soldiers from various regiments of the Army. In a poignant moment, the 75th anniversary medal was awarded to selected officers. 43 individuals were awarded commendation badges by the Army Commander, honoring their dedicated service.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා යුද හමුදාවේ ස්ථීර අනියම් සිවිල් සේවකයන්ට මෙහි මින්පදු සම්පාදනය කොට දැක්වෙන රෙගුලාසිවල විග්‍රහ වන නියමයන් හා කොන්දේසි අනුව මෙම ප්‍රධානය ලැබීමට යෝග්‍යයි යුද්ධ හමුදාධිපති විසින් නිර්දේශ කරන්න උද සියලුම පුද්ගලයන්ට මෙම පදක්කම ප්‍රධානය කළ යුතුයි නියම කරනු ලැබේ. ශ්‍රී ලංකා ප්‍රජාතාන්ත්‍රික සමාජවාදී ජනරජයේ රාජ්‍ය මුද්‍රාව යටතේ 2024 ඔක්තෝබර් මාස 10 වන දින ජනාධිපති කාර්යාලයේදී නිකුත් කරන ලදී. ගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ අනපරිදි ආචාර්ය එන්.එස්. කුමාරනායක ජනාධිපති ලේකම්.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you very much for watching. Good night.